Hey folks, welcome. I have a video for you today from Amy from Living Land Permacultrer Homestead, speaking about goats. I'm going to split this up into two videos because it's kind of long, so go ahead and enjoy. Also, there's a link to her Facebook page right down below. Make sure to visit it. Thanks, folks. Hey folks, welcome back. As you can tell, we're not on the mountain. We are at Living Land Permacultrer Homestead.
Exactly.
All right, here's Amy. Amy is the one that we actually got our goats from. Remember, Zana and Jana? We got them from Amy. And we're here today because Amy is quite knowledgeable about all things goats, and she's teaching us a bit. So we also have Steve here. Steve is also quite knowledgeable about goats. So we're going to step outside and Amy's going to show us a little bit about goats. Right, Amy?
That's what we're going to do. Let's do it.
All right, thank you.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I've heard the Nigerians have really small teats and they're
Well,
hard to milk.
they're really different though. Honeys are decent size. He can do it. He has big hands. But one of the goats we had, so small. It was just not really possible. And
you
then
don't
another
really know
one.
until you've gone through more than one season with her.
Yeah. No,
You don't start to know what after one.
Yeah. So we didn't feel like we could breed to her and sell those kids with any, like ethically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that would be sending someone else to have problems. So that's the thing that we have decided that in order for the larger picture and the betterment of the breed, there are some things that if an animal is not healthy, if an animal is not milkable, if the animal doesn't have good, isn't, friendly enough to touch, things like that,
Handleable, yeah.
then we can't breed them.
No.
And
We
for
do
us,
for
that means
hooves.
eating them.
Yep, definitely.
So
Or selling them for somebody else to eat.
yeah, we like the idea that our animals, and I'm not saying everyone, I couldn't do this if I didn't have him, honestly. But I love the fact that our animals have 5 tough minutes and that's it. They are exactly in their home, they live their lives, they have access to their money, and then we pull them aside, do the deed, 5 minutes later it's done. We don't even have to ship them somewhere, we don't have to do any of that.
This is the advantage of Nigerian dwarf.
I know, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and she's a sweetheart, so she's very handleable. Her mom and grandmom are very easy milkers that give a good amount of milk. They've never needed any, interventions in terms of health. Honey is, I think, 8 now, and Lily would be 6. Could that be right? Maybe they're a little younger than that. But yeah, we've had nothing, it's all been good experiences with them. So we feel really good about them as animals and as I love that twist of their jaw. Yeah, you're a good yawner. So, they don't need coats in the winter. They don't need babying. They can take care of themselves. Within reason. Obviously, we have fences. We don't let wild animals in here. But just the normal stuff that you do with any animal, not all the weird extra stuff that some animals need.
We have had this conversation before, you and I, how goats don't go in the house.
Right.
Goats do not wear diapers.
Right.
Goats do not wear coats or pajamas. They're outside animals.
Yeah.
We can love them and treat them right, but they're still outside animals.
Right.
Yeah. And we feel like, for us, this is for us, that the most respectful way to be in a relationship with them is not just to have them as pets, but to allow them to be useful. And that, in our case, means eating them. For the dairy goats, for a lot of them, we won't actually eat. We'll probably milk them until they're old enough to be gross to eat or something, or they die of natural, of finally getting old and something happening. But, the little wethers, we want them to be a part of this, not a drag on it. And we know folks who won't allow their goats to be eaten. So when they have kids, they feel like it's a terrible burden. Like, what am I going to do with these animals? And it's no longer a positive contributory piece to the whole thing. And the other, in order for this to work in a healthy fashion, you have to keep the stocking numbers low, and you have to keep your forage up. The whole basis of all of this, well, you could say it's microbes, you could say it's insects, and you can say it's plants. Those are the important things. Animals are like icing on the cake, including us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the whole thing runs because the plants are catching the making the chlorophyll, catching the sun, producing the energy that all the rest of us live on, right?
Right.
So you have to protect that base, and if you have too many animals, they destroy it. There's all this great research now about what happened when they got rid of the wolves out west because they wanted more deer, and the population exploded so much they ate everything green, and the herds just crashed. Yellowstone, when they reintroduced wolves, not only did it keep the population down, but it changed the way the animals moved, and it restored all the streams. And I mean, just that top predator is critical to maintain it. And for us, because we keep out the wolves and the dogs and whatever, we're the top predator. Yeah. So part of our job is to eat them. I know this is tough.
No,
I
take no offense to that.
To all of you. I love the idea, the impulse to be kind. I believe in being kind. I was vegan. I got very, very sick. So I took that as a sign from my body.
People are meant to eat meat.
Yeah, I mean, we've evolved to be very omnivorous, including animals in our diet. And it doesn't have to be tons of it or whatever, but I found for me, I really thrive with nice high-fat dairy products and a little bit of meat. And that's what we get from raising dairy and egg. We get lots of good, animal products, that, the dairy and egg part, and a little bit of meat out of it. And that seems to be how my body works. Really, I eat tons of plants. I was recently at a gathering where people said, "Who here is trying to eat more plants?" And I was like, "I can't eat more plants. I can't. I am dry. I eat so many plants. That's easy for me. For me, it's getting the meat in. It's not as big of a draw for me. So I actually work on making sure I get enough animal products to be healthy. I'm like, plants. I'm all good with plants. So anyway, that's my kind of. We also saw this film a few years ago, Eating Animals. I don't know if people have seen that.
I haven't seen that one.
It's looking at the two different ways of doing it. One is like the factory farm situation that most, like 99% of animals right now in this country are being raised in. And then going and visiting with the farmers who were trying to do it the old-fashioned way, with like animals on the land and, more ethical. And we left. It was interesting because when I was like, this is going to be like telling me to be a vegetarian again. And I don't know, but instead I left and I was like, oh my God, I feel so committed to killing my own animals. So I was like, I do not want them in the hands of people who will do that kind of thing. It really. Yeah,
to treat them.
One of the reasons that we are starting this whole thing is because of factory farming.
Yeah.
We want to raise our own food.
Yeah.
What does Lori say? Animals raised with love taste better.
Yeah. It really should be that only people who don't really want to eat their animals should raise their animals raise our animals. We don't want them in the hands of people who don't care about them.
Right.
So, I mean, it's the huge. I'm so happy these conversations are happening because I feel like they should. And we've really got to reclaim, because I know a lot of people who hated factory farms, so they went vegetarian. Which doesn't do much about factory farms because a lot of them are for eggs and milk anyway. But, taking it back and putting it in the hands of people we actually ourselves and people we know, it doesn't, not everyone is going to do it literally by their own hand, but I mean, we're not doing pigs. I'm intimidated by doing pigs, but we have a lot of neighbors who do pigs, so that we trust. So it's about bringing it all back to something real that we can connect with.
They say dinner time, feed me, the sun's going down.
Yeah, they know it's time. So, anyway, that's my little soapbox rant today. And that's how we do it. And that's also why one thing that we do ask of breeders is, do you call? Because like I said before, otherwise I know what I'm getting are the ones they don't actually want. So, am I being sold is this someone who's not willing to do their own culling, so does it by selling off the animals that aren't actually any good?
So,
I hadn't actually thought of that, but yeah.
Careful.
So, like, if I were to go buy from a breeder, a question that I should ask is, do you cull?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that, you know, if you're looking at the perspective to buy their animals, how do you know what you're getting?
Yeah, well, it's tough. Again, looking at paperwork and things like that, milk records,
Okay.
all that kind of
Registration
documentation.
papers.
Yeah, registration, but that only tells you a tiny bit because you can register anything.
Right. Oh,
There's no screening process. You just do it. You pay them $10 and your animal's registered.
I did not know.
And you should do it because the registries keep track of all the bloodlines, and you can see like 10 generations ago what was happening. It's really great service. But there's not a screening process at all. They don't even well, some of them now are doing DNA testing too, because you can say this is the mom and this is the dad, and they don't know if you're right. So it's all honor system. So that part, well, it's something it's a bar, but it's a low bar.
Okay.
And looking beyond that is important. It's tough when you're getting started. I get it. Once you have the animals, then you start to be able to make choices and see their health and all sorts of things from that.
We were really comfortable buying our goats from Amy. This is one of the reasons here, because Steve is always right down there with them,
Very friendly.
and all their goats are very friendly.
Yeah.
And it was
It's an
great.
opportunity so I'm checking her all over for social time,
Yep.
and I'm checking her all over for ticks and sparring injuries. Usually they're very tiny, but I'm just making sure it's clean and stuff. And so this time of year, they're sometimes lying in spots that are a little on the damp side. They don't always. Sometimes they lie out here or whatever. They might got a few bumpy spots down here. It could be confused for a tick. And if they get more lice, they chew on their legs a little more, and there's bumpy spots on their legs. So that's a warning sign you have to shave them eventually.
And you can tell that he really likes Lily because she was just bred, so she smells like the buck right now. So his hands are going to smell like the buck right now.
Yeah.
She was the one I was training to be the trail goat, so I socialized with her the most. So she always is the one, and she's dominant, almost top goat. So
She's
that's,
that's the queen, the orange one, and this is her daughter, so
she's entitled. She says, "I get the scratches."
Yeah, the other ones would like them, but they're like, yeah, it's not worth fighting over scratches right now.
Before I lose too much light, is that Luna over there?
Yeah, Luna. Hi, Luna girl.
I have to show Luna to everybody because that is Zan and Jana's mom. Right over there.
Grandmom is over that's Grandma.
Grandma's right there.
Tune cut.
You want to go meet the boys while we? Yeah. They don't
Okay.
smell good, the rest.
Oh, they don't. Okay, I
But
didn't
it's
know.
not like in the air.
And
it's
here's
like
the boys.
every time we do their hooves, hey buddy, we have to then go inside and wash all our
Oh,
clothes.
of course, yeah.
Yeah, but you can, so it's, it's they just so the reason they smell. Do folks know the reason they smell? They pee on themselves. They pee all over the boy.
Over there
Anywhere they can
is
get.
Marley.
His beard is gone. They got into some burrs the other day.
That's
We had
the
to
kid's
cut off
dad.
one of the weird haircuts right now. They're very mad about it.
Right over there.
The kids
Um,
That's Marley.
so that's Pan. That is, let me think. Lily, the white goat. That's her
Oh, it
son.
smells the house.
Yeah, he's very excited to have Joe smell.
That's what they did.
There he is. There's Marley right there.
It's sort of sad. Their whole life is about this one thing that maybe they get to do once a year.
Yeah.
You feel really
Oh.
bad for them.
You had to trim his beard.
Weird questions. Do they hump each other?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes
we used to have cows, and they used to hump my horse. Go figure.
Folks, so we had a great time up there with Amy and Steve at their homestead. They're both very knowledgeable with the goats, which is why we like going up there because they answer all our questions. They're fantastic people. They've done a lot with their land there. They don't have a very big piece of land, but they've done a lot with it. They're big into permaculture, which we're trying to learn about because their garden this year was just unbelievable, the amount of food that they get out of it. I do have more video of Amy speaking. I'm going to be putting that in another video because I just don't want this one to be too long. So down below is a link to Amy's Facebook page. Give that a visit, give that a like, give her a shout out. Very knowledgeable with all things goats and permaculture and the land, and just very, very nice person. So from the mountain, everybody, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, ring the bell, tell all your friends and neighbors, and God bless. Have a good night.